Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy, my channel is Finding Value. And what we're going to look at today is oil and gas, do some technical analysis. Before I jump into that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the supply and demand. I was reading an article, I'll pull it up right here. It's Total. Total is a big diversified oil energy service company, or not service, but an big diversified energy company, put it that way. And they've got some projections here. What they have here is the projection of oil major Total sees 10 million barrel per day supply gap in 2025. And they say between now and 2025. 10 million barrels of oil is a 10% gap. 10%. We've never had a gap in oil before. They're projecting a 10% gap. I don't know what that's going to do to price, but it's going to be an insane supply crunch. It says there's a risk of supply crunch in the midterm, says the president of Strategy and Innovation. We've seen in 2020 how OPEC managed to bring back market discipline. We've seen cracks in the U.S. shale model, and we've seen a continued underinvestments in the oil industry as a whole. And I've talked about this on the channel before about the investment not going to oil, and oil being a potential shortage in the future, or I should say, not really a shortage, but a deficit. And they're seeing the same thing. It says, and that's true, even if you take very cautious view on short-term demand recovery and on future demand levels, noting that a 10 million barrels per day gap in supply between now and 2025, that's a massive shortfall of supply to cover in just a few number of years. It says, last year, coronavirus accelerated structural decline in upstream oil investments. Investment in new oil supply has now slumped to a more than decade low. The world may be sleepwalking into a supply crunch, I'll bet beyond 2021. A recovery in oil demand back to over 100 million barrels per day by late 2022 increases risk of a material supply gap later this decade, triggering an upward spike in price. So that's the supply-demand fundamentals there. I think there's going to be a huge gap out there. And what I'm doing when the ratios were incredibly low in 2020 and even now is I'm cost averaging in and I'm getting my shares before everyone figures this out at some point. Investment is still not going into oil. And what's going to happen is we're going to get a massive price spike. My projections are going to be much higher than what most people think. If we get gold to go to, say, $3,000 an ounce, I'm just throwing out a number here, okay? Nice even 3,000. And oil goes back to a 1 to 10 or below ratio. Well, that means it's $300 oil. If it goes to 1 to 5, well, that's $600 oil. My projection, $300 to $600 oil in the price spike. With a 10 million barrel per day gap, maybe I'm low. I don't know. That's a huge gap. I mean, you're talking 10%. So think of maybe 10% of the United States being priced out of gas. What price is that? Or worldwide. We should do it worldwide. It'd be importing nation versus importing nation, all fighting for potential resources. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this in another clip of what potential investments I like for a scenario that's like that. But anyway, I mean, we've obviously got oil and gas here. So let's jump in. This is just my financial opinion, not advice. So here we go. We're going to start with oil itself. We do have a bullish engulfing pattern. I think, it doesn't mean that it's just going to rocket higher, but I think we're going to move higher very soon. So that's looking very good to me. Yes, we're still in the downtrend, but the bullish engulfing right here shows me that it's lining up to move on higher. Natural gas, yeah, we got a little cross here, a little kind of wick at the top. It traded up, kind of came back down. We're losing a little bit of momentum. We might have a little bit of a pullback, but volume's in there, momentum's to the upside. SM Energy, broken downtrend here, and I think we're going to move on higher. Is it going to go straight higher? That I'm not exactly sure. We might see a down day tomorrow with the wick at the top like this. We might have a little bit of a down day or 2 down days, and then maybe we'll rocket higher after that. Same with Centennial Development. It's the same story, same pattern, same everything. Those are my 2 most favorite oil and natural gas companies. Crew Energy's up there too. I do like this one quite a bit. Nice downtrend coming on up. And we broke to the upside here, so that looks good. We broke the downtrend. At least I think we broke the downtrend here. Pretty sure we broke the downtrend as well, and that's why it's been rocketing higher. Yes, we did. Advantage Oil broke its resistance line here. Moving on up. 17% update. Wow. Tellurian. We got a nice update here. Big buying pressure, small little sell-off, and I think we're going to continue higher, hopefully. This one's looking good as well. We do have a downtrend coming through here. Let me draw it in. See what this thing looks like. We're right there trying to break it very soon. Once we break that, I think we're going to be moving. Reconnaissance Africa, a down day on an up day on oil. See what happens. I bought a little bit in here, hoping that this thing could move on up. Again, statistical probabilities. We do have this nice big upward day, and hopefully we can rocket higher at some point here soon. Grand Tier Energy, we're still moving up, 3.5% up day. There's a huge trend line, I should have put it in here, that comes through here. And I think we're trying to break through that big trend line right now. Once it breaks, I think we'll have a lot less resistance in moving up. MCF came up today, little sell-off with a wick at the top, may have a down day or two, and then I think we'll attack higher again after that. Comstock Resources, a highly leveraged natural gas company. I do own a little bit of it. Downtrend, big on, big old up days coming up. Looks pretty good. Nice number here, 6.66, really. And we're coming up to this. There's some resistance up here, so we're going to have to get through all that. Tetra Technologies, we do have a little bit of a pattern that's developing here. It's kind of coming to this corner. I think we're going to maybe come down a day or two and create this, maybe a down day or two with this pattern. If the dollar drops and the oil goes up, then this pattern could be nullified and we could break to the upside. So it's difficult to say where this one's going to go, but usually when you come up to a pattern like this, it wants to break to the downside. Callon Petroleum up day with a black candlestick, momentum coming down. I think we're going to pull back for a day or two before moving higher. AR, a little wick at the top, not too bad, but I do think the momentum might slow up here. We're going to encounter more sellers at this high, I think. So we may come up and then pull back a day or two or something like that. Transocean's looking pretty good. Nice big up day today, 8.33%. And I think we, it depends. Maybe we have a down day or two if all the rest of the sector is looking like that. But I do like this kind of V-shaped bottom. It's almost like a shoulder, head, shoulder developing. Now we're getting into solar. Solar is looking really good. So we broke our downtrend here. You can see it right there. We're right there kind of trying to break out through this. There's some resistance through here. Looking back, we had the two bullish piercing, bullish engulfing here. That's kind of our launching pad. Nice hammer pattern. This looks like it wants to move higher to me. And Beam Global, this is in that TAN ETF downtrend. We're trying to come up and break through this downtrend very soon. We've got Sunworks. Sunworks looks decent. We've got a couple of big candlesticks down here, came up, kind of came over. We've been moving sideways, bullish piercing here. 3 big up days, small down days. It's really contracting to a dead period. I buy in these dead periods, and let's hope this breaks to the upside. The lowest risk entry point is when you wait and you buy it on the breakout, and it closes above the breakout. That's where the least risk. This is a very volatile stock. It went from $5 to $25 or something like that in 1 month. So this thing is coiling up, I think, and we could potentially break to the upside. And SOL, this is another company in TAN that I like. We have a bullish engulfing here. We're coming on up, and we broke through this downtrend. I like it right here. Hopefully we can get some momentum and really start to break. This was a huge move in the beginning, so this could be good. Fuel cell energy, this is incredibly volatile. You got to have, you got to be on it. Now, the thing that looks very compelling to me is we got this nice bullish piercing here. We pulled higher, and then the slow leak off of sellers, all the way back to almost a little bit below the starting point. We popped up again, big buying pressure, slow leak off of sellers. And now it's contracting and contracting and contracting. We're probably going to launch here at some point soon. It's my guess. This could be a big one. And again, I don't know as much about solar, but I want solar exposure and hydrogen exposure because if we have problems in the oil market, I think money's going to flood into these alternatives. So that one looks good. Daku Energy, it tried breaking out of its downward channel here. Nice big momentum coming up. 2 small down days. The pop higher. It came back, almost went to retest. It's like it's doing this all in one day. The breakout and the retest in one day. We'll see what happens tomorrow, but I think this will break to the upside. And I'm a holder of Daku New Energy Corporation. So that's what I've got for today. I threw some solar in there. I do like solar. I think we're going to have to go to it at some point. More solar. There's a lot of huge projections out there in the future for solar. Hopefully these are the companies that can get us from today to the future with the solar that hopefully we're building. So this is all I've got. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.